Chris. Well, thanks for joining me today on the Mortgage Life podcast. You're my first guest on this new thing I'm trying out here, so I appreciate you coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So I'm going to make this painless on you, man. I just want to know what you and I have known each other for a little while here, but maybe other people haven't. So I want to just get a good feel of what you do and let our audience, if there is an audience, know what you do and why you do it. So why don't you just start and tell me who you are and where do you work?
So, Chris Barnard. I am a area sales manager for a builder in the greater Edmonton area. So selling in Edmonton and then surrounding communities. The company I work for is called Coventry Homes. We specialize in everything from your townhome, duplex, laned home, front attached home to custom build or quick possession. So there's kind of everything in between. I've been doing this for about 4.5 years now. And a little bit about the role. Essentially, think real estate agent, except unlike a real estate agent, I don't sell resale properties. I sell only new, and I sell for one builder. So I'm not able to sell from another make model builder out there. I have to stick to Coventry Impact Homes, but I can sell in surrounding areas as well, not just my community.
And so where do you work? Where's your location?
My home station is in West Seacord, but I'm frequently out and about. So I usually am selling in the west, southwest, Spruce Grove, St. Albert, Stony Plain, kind of sticking to a quadrant, but I have service clients in Northeast and as far as Sherwood Park and beyond.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So when people are trying to find you at some point, what's the best way to find you outside of just walking into your show home? Like, hey, Chris, good to meet you. Like, are you online?
Always online. Online. My Instagram is pretty active, I would say. As I bring it up, it's CB Homes YEG on Instagram, and then by cell, my cell phone is always on me, so 780-232-7650. I've had the same number forever and ever, and that's usually people text or tag me online.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Now, how'd you get into this? I know you and our history goes back because we worked at CIBC together.
We did.
And for a couple of years, 2 years, 3 years, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
So tell me, how did you make your transition? I don't want to, break you down for your entire resume here, but like,
No, so when I was at CIBC, I was in retail banking and then went to small business and then relationship manager, so different roles within the bank. But I remember one day taking an appointment. It was a walk-in client who was doing an estate, and it was a realtor, older gentleman, realtor slash broker, and he started talking to me about real estate. And it was something that, little did he know that was something I wanted to do before I went into banking. So I went to university in Vancouver and I was having a conversation from someone from UBC, Sauder School of Business, which is where in BC, typically that's where you go to get your real estate license. And was speaking with the gentleman there was with Century 21. And this was right around 2008 and the market crash. Mm-hmm. So I was, young university student. And he just said, this is not the time to get into real estate. I shouldn't be telling you this, but I'm telling you this. Do something else. And we had a family contact who was working for ATB back in Edmonton, and said to me, why don't you look at banking? I can get you an interview. I can't get you a job. I can get you an interview. So I came to Edmonton, was renting a place. Actually, it was an investment property my parents owned, and took an interview with ATB, and then fast forward about 8 years in the bank. And all the while, I just kept thinking, one of these days I'd like to pursue my dream and go into home sales. It's not a safe route. I didn't know how commission sales would work, and definitely it's something that you need to be appropriately set up for. And so when I finally made the move, someone took a chance on me, and it was I looked at it like almost like a pay to learn situation. As an associate, I'm gonna have to start from the bottom, from the beginning, and just have an open mind and be eager to learn. And I had a great mentor when I started, and just kind of learn the role from him.
Started from the bottom and now you're on top.
I hope so. Getting there. I mean, it's 4 years in, and there's people who have been in this for 20 years, 30 years. So I'm just hoping I can keep up with them. And I mean, maybe I've got some newer things that I can bring to the table that they're not considering. The world's changed, technology's changed, and I think their approach has to change with business.
So this maybe is a sort of a side question, but why do you do what you do? What inspires you to get up every day and be excited to sell new homes? What gets you out of bed?
You have to like what you do. I know it's so cliche to say that, but it's when I was in the bank, there were elements of my role or various roles I had in the banks that I really liked, but I didn't like the holistic part of it. I didn't like sitting down, with stacks of paperwork and just pushing paper all day. I like the acquisition, like the retention part of it. I like the challenges that someone's coming in and they've got a problem and I have to find the solution to it. And I like the relationship building aspect of it. So those are the things that really drew me to doing what I did, and waking up each day. And the same thing applies in home sales. I really enjoy the people aspect. I like that no 2 days are the same. I could have a day where I'm spending a good part of it problem solving because I've got a client with something very unique they're looking for, and I'm trying to not only find them something that's going to check off most of their boxes, but I have to present it to them in a way that's digestible and that's going to be tailored to their needs as well.
So
So I really like that.
does Coventry allow you to go full custom?
Full custom, yeah.
So you have clients walking in there that may say, I love this floor plan, let's just build this. And then others that say, maybe I want to completely custom build, or do they kind of have to pick a floor plan and then go custom off of that floor plan, if that makes sense? Oh, I think
You
I
froze
lost.
on my mind.
Yeah, likewise. Okay, let me rephrase that. Can you go full custom? Like someone walks in with no floor plan, just say, I want
Yeah.
you to build a brand new house, or do they have to sort of use an existing floor plan and build off of that or tweak that one?
This is a good question. So people will come in, they might have an idea as to what they want. So I'll take them through, maybe one or two homes and just point out, okay, what do you like about this home? What doesn't work for you with this space? And then maybe when they start describing what their ideal layout may be, I might have a plan that comes to mind that I can work off of, and then show them that present plan. There might be optional layouts with that plan. Maybe we can make a couple of red line adjustments within that plan to make it more suitable for them. And beyond that, if they said, you know what, I kind of like this, but I also want to amalgamate 2-3 other plans and maybe move the bathroom to this location, and we want a fireman's pole in the middle of the house and a ball pit in the basement, whatever it is they want. I don't know.
Wow.
We have to think outside the box, and in that case, when there's a lot of moving parts, that's when I'd suggest we go custom. And there's various reasons for that. Sometimes it's the clients usually are hesitant at first because budget is a concern. Whether you have $1 million budget or a $500,000 budget, you still want to know what you're in for. And so we have to set those expectations for them. But then beyond that, there might be something where maybe the custom route isn't the best option, and we can just work within an existing plan or whichever. So they need to just be apprised with the process.
That's pretty amazing, man. I mean, if you can put a fire pole in someone's home,
Yeah.
I know you guys are big on the Oilers too, and I've seen
Yep.
the Oiler basements and the rinks down
Right.
there and stuff. And so I know personally when my wife and I built our house 6 years ago, we didn't have the full custom option. We were with a different builder, obviously, and it was our first time, so we didn't really know the whys. But this second time through, we are definitely a little bit more not picky, but like once you've done it once, now oh, we can do this as well. So I think it's important for people to know when they are deciding to build a home and getting through this process, to do your homework with your builders. And not to say that our builder was a bad builder. We had a really well built home. and they were definitely flexible on some things. But yeah, you can't throw in and I'm gonna keep saying fire pole, but I mean you can't throw in like pretty wild stuff. We couldn't put a drain in our garage.
Mhm.
Um, there was definitely we couldn't move the laundry, which was upstairs from the one side of the house to the other side of the house. We did move walls. We turned it from a 4 bed to a 3 bed. And certainly we had a bunch of upgrades and stuff. But yeah, and that's really good to know, I think, for me and hopefully our
Mhm.
audience to understand, like when you're building a home, you got options and you can
You
really
got options.
customize it and make it what you want. So that's cool.
And it's,
Um,
it's not for everyone. So it's, you have to really make sure that the client understands the benefits of it. There are also benefits to doing what they call a production build, going with a builder that might have plans and they stick to the plans because the timeline is going to be a little bit more adherent. When you go custom route, the nice thing is that sometimes there's, when you're moving walls and you're changing structures, there's a lot of things that are unforeseen to someone like myself. Might be more of an engineering component where there's going to be a pillar or a beam or something like that that we need to address. And and that's where it's good because they're going to get that information in real time. But beyond that, it isn't for everyone.
Now, in general, is it more expensive to go custom?
In general, it is. Yeah.
Is that just because the amount of change is happening and the
Amount of
amount of work has to be
Yeah,
done?
the amount of change, and and if you think about it, if you're building, say you've got a builder that's got a set amount of plans and they're doing these plans in the communities, they're going to be able to put together homes pretty quickly because the crew that's working in those communities knows, okay, we're building model A, we're building model B, we're building model C. They know exactly what it is, that there are minimal changes within that. It's not like we're building model A and it has this and this and these changes applied. So it's a little bit more cookie cutter and they
Yeah,
can put them up faster as a result and probably on a better budget because they're purchasing at such a wholesale cost.
totally. Yeah. So you'll save a few bucks, but if you're willing to spend a little bit more, you can really get what you want.
Yeah.
Do you see that more in like second, third, fourth
You,
time buyers kind of thing?
you
Or
do.
yeah,
You do. It's one of those things. It's like when you make your first pancake, it doesn't always turn out. And when someone um, buys their first home, there's a lot of things they don't consider. And that's something I try to bring to the table. That I ask probably more questions than most salespeople in the industry we used to refer them back in the CIBC days. They refer to these people as order takers. Someone comes in, I need a credit card, you give them a credit card. You don't ask the questions and go, maybe a credit card is good for this person, but what are they trying to achieve with the credit card? Oh, it's cash flow issue. Let's get them an overdraft and line of credit. There might be some other faculties that we should be considering. And it's the same thing for us. We need to really position those things because the first time home buyer, they're going to look at the plan. They're not going to look at maybe a cabinet layout or think about storage space. Or there's things that they probably haven't considered. Resale is a big thing. The average homeowner is living in a home for 3 to 5 years. So if someone's got this laundry list of wants and needs, you have to take a step back and ask them, what is your goal with this home? Is it going to be a rental property? Is it an investment? Is it something you're going to live in as a starter home? Can your family grow into this home, or are they going to outgrow the home? And these are all things they have to consider, because if someone is just looking at finishes and they're just looking at budget, perhaps they might not be getting what they need. And I mean, maybe it's a circumstance where someone's overextending themselves. That's also a conversation that needs to be had. So that let's take a step back and let's get you your starter home, start building some equity so that maybe next time you can get exactly what you want.
how do you manage the we'll call it the boom and the busts of home building new sales? We're in an interesting time, right? I mean,
Yeah.
rates are high, house prices were ballooned quite a bit. Seems like they're coming down now a little bit. How, as someone who works for a home builder, how do you manage not only people's expectations but your company's expectations, right? You're probably got targets like every company does to sell so many homes a year. How does that work?
You got to be smart, and you have to ride the waves. There's always going to be ebbs and flows. Like last year was a very unique year in the market, and we saw a lot of salespeople that panicked. They may have done well in the first quarter, but they didn't position themselves well where the traffic stopped or it slowed, they didn't just keep the foot on the gas and persist. They panicked and they looked elsewhere. And and when you do that, I find it's you have to really gamble on yourself. Like I remember when I started as an ASM on my own, I had a part-time job and I was doing some freelance writing and some other work on the side. And these things helped, of course, with your monthly costs and things like that. But what I found was the moment I said I'm fully invested and I'm going to do this. I'm not going to moonlight in this role. This is going to be it for me. Then I think the sales actually came, and I think you really have to. You can't look at anything as a part-time, because someone else out there, like your competition, is not looking at it that way. So you have to, make sure you're consistent. So just because it's slower, don't react to the market. Set yourself up that you're still taking meetings with clients. You're still trying to build your COIs. It's even something that you might think is as minor as like going for coffee with someone. You never know the payoff. So it's always good to just constantly remind people that you exist and you have a job and this is what I do. Because you never know when someone's going to be thinking to buy a home or whichever, like, in your case, get a mortgage. You want to be top of mind.
That's a good point, man. And it's almost like one of those situations where it's so simple, like as a thought, but like maybe really hard to execute.
It is.
Like just being disciplined and being consistent and, having the same message. And I'm with you 100%. I mean, we're both going through some economic challenges in our current industries right now. And, we are selling interest rates a year and a half ago for like 1.5%. And I just got one approved with a lender on a 1-year deal for 6.5% with one of the major banks out there. That is that is a massive change in cost for the average homeowner. So the expectations have to be managed. Yeah. And so I like what you're saying. Let's change the conversation a little bit. I want to know who Chris Barnard is. Why don't you tell, I know a little bit of who you are, but why don't you tell our audience maybe something that maybe the average person doesn't know about you?
So, originally when I went
to the spot, sorry.
It's okay. When I went to school, I actually went to school first for journalism. I was a journalism dropout. When I was in high school, I had a summer internship with the National Post in Toronto. So that was my dream. I wanted to be a broadcaster, maybe a sports writer. I did a lot of blogging for, food blogs. I wrote, I covered MMA for a couple different organizations, did some hockey writing, just stuff like that.
That's cool.
And then I've done a lot of kind of ghostwriting for bloggers and for, like lifestyle bloggers and things like that. So that's something I don't tell everyone, but yeah, I've done a lot of work and in that field, and I've been published. And something else, I guess, yeah, I just I'm big into animals, animal welfare. So it's something, when I was with the previous builder, I had a partner, and we have an initiative, and it's something I always wanted to do a little bit more of, and I still contribute to. So just shout out to Eva Sakab of Daytona Homes. We did an initiative called Canines, or Commissions for Canines. So when we sold homes, we would contribute proceeds of our commissions to animal shelters. So
I love that, man. That's
something
amazing.
that, yeah, I really believe in giving back, and in animals. I think in this society, they don't have a voice. So as much as I love to give to other charities, I think that's the one that's always held true to me, because it's again, I just think they're underappreciated or under considered in the world.
So you got a soft spot for the furry friends, hey? So
got a soft spot. If I had a bigger property, I would have, like, we're in a townhome right now. If I had a house with a yard, I'd probably have 10 dogs coming home every day. And
what pets do you have right now?
Just one.
Dog?
He's an 11-year-old dog, Siberian Husky Spaniel mix.
Siberian Husky. That sounds big.
It's not big. He's about 45 pounds.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of
Yeah.
like medium to big.
Yeah, like think about like a border collie or a lab, about that size.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But
11 years
sheds a
old.
lot. 11 years old. Yeah.
Wow. So that's your homeboy.
It's my homeboy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's funny because my wife, you've met my wife, Tiffany,
Yep.
and she is massively into animals as well. And she's always talking about, one day, like the dream of all dreams is going to be just like working at either some rescue or some organization that is just giving back to that, call it community, I guess. Because, yeah, man, animals are, and especially dogs for us. We have a dog as well. We have a Pomeranian, and he's like 18 pounds, 16 pounds. He's a big Pom.
Yeah.
But once you kind of have dogs, or if you're a dog person, there's just that bond, right? I mean, there's that special bond. And then when you see and become aware of like abuse or mistreatment of animals, it's crushing to think that even happens, that that's a thing.
Mhm.
And, we don't need to go down that path. But I mean, I love that, man. I love giving back. I like giving back to people, giving back to animals, just whatever you're passionate about, and just making that a thing. So
Mhm.
that's cool. I did not know that about you. I did know about the creative part of you, but that's only because I researched you on LinkedIn and I found that out just recently. But I didn't know that at all. So you're basically helping, like you're freelance right now, writing things for people, um, on like a contract freelance basis. Like
Exactly.
if
Yeah.
somebody
I'd
needs,
rather not do like a one-off piece, because I find that both for my time and for them, if I build a rapport with you, my work's going to be better. I know your voice that you're trying to portray to an audience, and who your audience is. And because you spend so much time, and I found that when I was doing, like, I was at one point writing for as many as 19 different organizations or people. And what I found was, with every new job, I would have to do a couple hours minimum of research before I can't just write about, like, for example, I did a manual for a rope access company. So I didn't even know what rope access was, but it was a facility where they trained individuals who are on scaffolds and high rises and things like that. And yeah, and I had to write this very dry, boring work on that industry, which it took quite a bit of time to familiarize myself with the the verbiage and the
oh yeah,
actual day to day of that job, and and everything else that it's entailing. So
that's cool though, right? Keeps it interesting, and you're
it
learning new
does.
industries, constantly growing, figuring things out.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um, what would be one tip that you give somebody who's entering the new home sales business? Actually, before I get into that, like, do you have a team? Do you work with like a team in your office or space, or are you like a one-man show?
I was a one-man show till December, when I moved from Spruce Grove and Stony Plain. Just in preparation for the inevitable. I think that it's not just a spring market, it's that I was going to ramp up. I do work 6-7 days a week. Even if show home hours are typically, you're usually, most people are working 3 days during the week, and then you're off maybe Thursday, Friday, and then have your weekends are adjusted hours. So I still feel like I'm trying to work outside of the regular show home hours as much as possible, because again, you have to generate leads, and you're not going to do that just within the confines of those hours. So I have a full-time associate who works with me, and he's about 2 years, just under 2 years in the industry, and I think his eventual goal is to be on his own, and I hope I can get him there in the next couple of months. I think he's got a lot of potential. And yeah, and I think someone who's just starting out in the industry, you really have to be mindful that it's you got to learn from as many people as you can. Look around in any industry you're in. I mean, whether it was banking or in sales or something, look at the people who are successful, who are top performers, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel, but try
Do
to
what they do.
emulate some of the things that they're doing. Talk to them, just ask if they can go for coffee with them, beers with them, and maybe find some of the things that they've done, the habits they've formed to get to where they are, because it's probably not by accident. And then beyond that, look at yourself, just be self-aware. Like I think, in any situation, even it's still to this day, there are things that there's situations that come up. There's, I might have a meeting and afterwards I think, man, I blew that. What happened? And it could have been in something that maybe I've never addressed before. And I think those are just things that you just have to be ever evolving and adapt and be agile. And those are things that I would definitely say, like, someone's new in the industry, just keep an open mind, try to learn.
Try and learn.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
There you go. Now that's a good segue. So what does an average day look like for Chris Barnard?
Average day, I'm not a morning person, but I do wake up probably about 7:30 or 8 most days. So I get up, I take the dog for a walk, come back in, usually have my coffee, try to catch up on social media. I'll probably put in an hour or so. And what does that mean? That could be, it could be just doom scrolling on Twitter or something like that. But maybe I'm actually checking my LinkedIn, seeing if there's any DMs, checking Instagram, seeing what's new, check my emails to see if there's any updates from developers or anything like that. Maybe there's some lot promos, or maybe there's some client inquiries or something like that. And then start planning my day. I'm heavy into numbers, because I think that in order to be successful in a sales position, you need to really set yourself up. And if you have what do they call it? SMART. Are you familiar with that?
SMART goals.
The SMART goals, yeah.
Oh man, what is that? Was it short?
Specific, measurable, achievable, something. But
yeah, man, I have to Google that one, figure that one out.
But
yeah,
something like that, where you just need to have an actual game plan. You can't just wing it. So every week I try to set myself up that
realistic, and I think it's with some sort of time.
I think you're right.
Or something. Yeah. Okay.
So I try to. I'm definitely not going to teach that seminar. So I try to set myself up, for success that way. So, but by about 11 o'clock, hopefully I've planned my day. I've booked a couple of meetings. I start to get ready for work, maybe have a lunch, get ready for work around noon. And then I plan to be at the office from anywhere from, say, 1 to 2 o'clock. I try to be early, or at least I'm meeting a client or something like that. Because even if my show home is open at 3, the day definitely starts before 3.
So the show home has office hours or show home hours, but you can actually roll in there whenever you want, as long as you're there before 3.
Yeah, and that's just an expectation they have to the developer, that the homes are going to be open, so that people are going to what they call the parade of those show homes that that a customer can expect to go to this community and check out the homes between these hours, and that someone's going to be there. But for a salesperson, you want to, if I have a customer who's out of town and they want to check out a spec home or a show home, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, I'm not going to say, no, I only work from 3 to 8. So I will take them in. And then, and I try to, it's a quiet place for me to work, so I can go in a little early and get some work done if I want there. In a typical week, I will try to book as many as 2 to 3 appointments, just hoping that, the walk-in traffic is great, but, appointments that are booked usually have a higher close rate. Sure. Booking 2-3 appointments a week, that's, go 8 a month, you're going to have a couple cancellations or no shows. So you should probably have 4 to 5 that you meet with. And then anything that's walk in or it just lands on your lap, that's all additional, gravy. But if you have 4 or 5 a month, you should probably have a close rate of maybe 2. So I'm setting myself up that way, that every month I'll have at least 2 deals that'll come in just from constantly that habit forming and booking the appointments. So, when I get to the office, I'll probably catch up on some paperwork, maybe have a walk-in or two. I do construction updates with the site soup. Then I'll probably review maybe an ongoing job. Maybe I have a pre-sale I'm working on. I have to check to see if we've received any feedback from drafting or estimating with a price request, or with maybe some kind of drawing that we've requested. So there could be things throughout the day. And then beyond that, it's just a lot of follow-up, a lot of emails, phone calls. I try to book, going on Instagram and LinkedIn, try to book, set up appointments with realtors, brokers, people that I can meet with to maybe have conversations. And I mean, they may not have a client in mind, but they just building that relationship. That's the part that is valuable. So even when someone comes to me and says, "Hey, I have a client," I don't expect that that's going to be a sale off of that intro. I think that what it does for me is that I'm going to build a relationship with a realtor, and that maybe if this client buys or doesn't buy, I'm going to do future business with that realtor. So you have to look at it like I look at a big picture in that sense.
Totally.
Mhm.
And then, so you're there till about 8 o'clock.
Oh, 8 o'clock.
So 3 to 8, 5-hour shift, but really you're kind of like working before and
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So then after 8, you shut down the show home, and then
Shut
what?
down the show. Drive home. I probably get home around anywhere from 8:30 to 9 o'clock. Um, make a dinner, make something simple if I can, and then and I'm usually wired, so I'll be up till like midnight probably, and then I shut it down. So I'll wind down. It's usually like a podcast. Try to avoid screen time
The Broker
before
Life
bed.
podcast, maybe?
Yeah, Broker Life podcast.
Watch yourself later tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
that's interesting. And I've always wondered this, because I know the show home hours are typically, 3 to 8, 1 to 8, something like that. But like how you set your day up, because you have
Mhm.
all this free time in the morning, right? So it's
Right.
obviously like a later start to the day.
Yeah.
So do you like that flow, that schedule? I mean, you've done the bank gig where it's like more of a 9 to 5, 8 to 4.
Yeah.
Do you like this
I
flow?
do. It's funny because realtors will often tell us like, "Oh man, you guys," because they work 7 days a week and they're kind of always on call. You're on call when your clients are on call. But I think that there's a misconception that realtors think they work more than we do. Area sales managers, I guarantee you, work twice as much as realtors do, because we're
Wow.
within we're
Big
within
claims,
our
big
yeah,
claims.
big claims. We work within show home hours, so we're married to those hours. They're not. If they are not feeling it that day, or whatever it is, they can work when they want to work. We can't. So rain or shine, if it's cold at -40, I've got to be at the show home. And then beyond that, I'm still working. I had a client this morning texted me at 7 a.m. So we're still responding to things. We're putting out fires, all hours of the day. I've come home from the show home, gone out with family. I remember last year, Ukrainian Christmas, I'm going to a family thing, and I came home a couple bottles of wine later, and it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I have to write a deal. So I'm on DocuSign and Salesforce and everything, putting together this deal at 1 a.m. So yeah, it's varied and
So you work hard, but
work hard.
also you have like a ton of flexibility. I know
Yeah.
I've been in the mortgage business for, I think, like 15 years. It's my 15th year, I think. And my entire career, all of my really good buddies and homies have just given me the gears that like I don't do anything. Like I've got the easiest gig of all, and I probably do, compared to real estate and new home sales, because everything's virtual. It wasn't this way before COVID, but like it's just like, made even more apparent that I don't really need to meet clients, because I'm a Zoom call. What we're doing right now is so efficient, and
Mhm.
with sharing screen, I can get everything I need to get across to my clients immediately within an hour, and there's no travel time. What if I forget something at home? I don't have to deal with it. Like I'm in front of my computer, I have access to everything. So, um, you know, I've just been making it more and more efficient. But with that being said, I don't have to work 12 hours a day. I could. I don't have to work probably 8 hours a day, because you can get so much done in like 2 hour windows or whatever.
Mhm.
So, um, and I'm not selling a product, I'm selling a service, whereas you're more selling a product. So you got to show the product, you got to be there.
Mhm.
If you want to not show up at the show home one day, can you? Do you have that flexibility, or do you have to be there? Is it Monday to Friday? Is it Tuesday to Saturday? Or
Yeah, you can. So I work usually Monday to Thursday. Fridays are always closed. Um, the office is open, so I still get emails on Fridays and stuff like that. But and I'll meet a client on a Friday. I try not to, but I do. Um,
was your 2 days off in theory? Is what's
yeah,
Friday
yeah, and
and
I just started taking Thursdays off, and again, Thursday I don't consider it an off day. I just consider I'm working remotely. I don't have to be at the office.
Mm.
Um, my associate's there on Thursday, and then he takes Wednesdays off. So, um, but other than that, I mean, most builders will have what they call a rover or a floater. I've heard different names for it, but it's usually an hourly employee, often they're students. I wish that role existed when I was in school. But it's nice for them to get into the industry. If you're thinking about home sales, just reach out to some builders on LinkedIn and see if they have any openings for a rover role.
so it's like a
Uh,
on-call sort of type
Kind of
shift.
on call, and it's nice for them because if let's say let's say I wanted to take a vacation and I didn't have coverage, it gives you someone's there to open the show home, and they sit there, and if someone comes in, they're not expected to be able to write deals or sell. All they do is they collect information, have the lights on for the client, and they can shut down the show home the other night.
Right.
Then they relay that information to me. We compensate them for any leads, and they get an hourly pay on that
There's someone
as well.
available. Yeah, someone there
Yeah,
to let them in and walk around.
yeah.
Um, this is good. We're
But
covering
I
a lot.
understand what you're saying, though. I remember when I worked at CIBC, and we'd see you come in, and you'd have sometimes jeans and like a blazer, and you seemed relaxed, and we're like, oh, look at Mark, he's got it made. He's meeting clients at Starbucks, and here we are in boardrooms and taking district calls and everything else, and constantly you've got the branch manager breathing down your neck. And so,
Yeah, you
but
remember
little do we
those?
know that you're probably working, because when you're working an 8-hour shift, sometimes you're going at 60%. But when you're working from, say you might be working within a 6-hour time slot, but you're probably going at 100% the whole time, or 110.
Totally. And it's really that whole concept, and this could be a podcast just on this, but it's that whole concept of like time in equals either dollars or like some sort of like common objective or something, where it's just the old way of thinking, where if you work 8 hours a day, are you going to accomplish the same? If I'm paying you a salary, let's say I'm paying you 100 grand a year, and I want you to be at your desk 8 hours a day, and then after you're done working, you're off the clock, like the traditional sort of 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Are you really getting as much work done in that 8 hour period versus saying, I'm not going to give you 100 grand a year salary, you're 100% commission, which is, I think, what we both are. And it's on you. Now the onus is on you. So there's accountability, there's responsibility. You now have to say, well, I've got to figure this out. So
Right.
now you're going to be a little more proactive. And it's kind of more like project based
Mm-hmm.
earnings, right? So if you sell a home, or if I sell a mortgage, I'm going to be compensated on that. And there's definitely work that goes into it. And you have to actually spend, probably up to 12 months with certain clients from front to end until the home's built, maybe less, right?
Yeah.
My window is shorter. Even on the new build mortgages, you're getting in very early, the pre-approval stage, the application stage, collecting the documents, getting it approved, but then you're really just kind of hanging out, waiting for the thing to be built or waiting for the possession to happen. So it's very project based. So if I wake up and I get 2 deals done and I have 2 commission checks that day and it took me 2 hours, I could totally milk it. I could totally, like, well, that's a good day in the office. Now that's like, that's where the mindset comes in, where be consistent and just keep at it. If you can get 2 in 2 hours, how many can you get in 8 hours, right?
Mhm.
But there's no question it's an easier gig. But I think all in all, it's probably the most boring gig on the three, because with new home sales, that's pretty exciting. To me, that's pretty exciting to be able to create something with someone. I think there's no surprise that you have a sort of a creative background and you're doing new home sales, which is sort of a creative piece as well. I mean,
Mhm.
you're really customizing solutions for people, and it's on paper, you can see it. And as an added bonus, they get to live in this thing that you created. So that's a pretty cool thing. And same thing with realtors, right? You're showing them at homes. I mean, realtors probably hate that client that they have to take to 50 homes and they don't buy or whatever, but it's a very active, engaging process, all these people.
Mhm.
Mortgage brokering is not. I mean, this a little bit with your bank experience, but very cut and dry. It's all numbers based, affordability. People are stressed out. Can I afford this? What if my credit's not good? So it's kind of like managing people's like level of stress a lot and anxiety, and reassuring them that it's all going to work out.
Mhm.
So I think because it's more of a drier setup, you know, it feels like it's a reward to have a little bit more flexibility and be able
Mhm.
to, customize your schedule. But that being said, I think that one of the things that I dislike the most about my job is I don't get to see enough people, right?
Right.
The engagement of people is kind of what juices people up, sometimes. So when you're constantly just on Zoom calls and at your computer, it gets a little dry, and I often need to take breaks and go for a dog walk or something. So
Yeah.
I think you got a pretty good setup. I think it's good. I like it. Yeah. And if I wasn't doing
Yeah.
what I'm doing, I think I would look to new home sales or probably real estate for sure.
I don't think I could go back to an office job after. I mean, it's after this long, it would be very difficult.
I really sold it for you hard there. Hey. Oh, you froze there a little bit.
I mean, I remember I don't know if it was like this for you, but when I was in the bank, sometimes we'd have your branch meeting, and then you'd have your whatever, a market update meeting, and then there'd be your pre-brief for what are you doing today? This is what I've got planned for the day, and then their debrief at the end of the day. It was a lot, and all your trackers. Um, this way I'd rather just spend, I remember actually having this conversation. I don't know if you remember Doreen, we had a boss, CIBC. And anyway, I remember telling her, and it was a little mouthy of me, but I said, I was like, are we going to spend all day talking about what we're going to do, or are we going to give us the time to do it? Because that was it. We spent so much time planning and discussing, and it was like, and then you have the work, and I was like, there's certain things I really liked about this, and I think it's been so helpful for me that I actually had that banking background, because when someone's using, for example, someone's using a branch representative to do their mortgage, I'm not saying that they're not capable of doing it, but I
Yeah,
know
you know.
it's not going to get done quickly. It's not top of mind for them. It's not like the top of their pile to do. They have quotas, they have other things to do, and there's someone at telephone banking or firm reception that's booking them in. And they have back to backs. They don't even know when they're going to get to it, and they're not working on the weekend or evening to get your file done.
That's right.
Um,
Yeah.
so there's just a lot of benefit to working with someone who's like yourself, is adaptable and able to work
Yeah. Well, the game
a
changer,
broad
because
schedule.
I think we were in the same role. Were you an FSR?
I was.
Yeah. So for the
Yeah.
people listening, that's financial service rep. And that's essentially like your banker, your personal banker, right? Like you
Yeah.
go in, open accounts, open credit cards, do loans, lines of credit, mortgages, insurance, and you're at your desk and people are booking clients to come see you. And almost similar to show home, where you got to be in the bank, in the branch,
Mhm.
and you're basically helping people all day. And then there's the mortgage advisor role, the investment advisor role, and maybe even insurance advisor role. And that's where I did 2 years as the FSR, then 8 as the mortgage advisor. And I thought, this is amazing. And that's when you and I hooked up originally. And you probably thought, this guy is just like rolling in here with, yeah, blazer on, jeans, and just living life. And it was great. And it was a lot of fun. And then 4 years ago, I decided to get my broker license and become a mortgage broker. And then it was like mortgage advisor at CIBC on crack. Like it was so much juiced up. Now we have, 100 lenders. We have all these different tiers of lending. And now I don't have to be selling, my bank's policies, rates, products. I don't have to push anything. I can just like share what the experience is like, and then it's more of like I'm on your side. I'm like, let's do this together. Let's find the best solution out there. So yeah, what a journey, man. I want to end this call with something called speed round. So this is just a bunch of questions that I came up with, and just kind of have a little fun at the end of the call here.
Sure.
And all you got to say is like yes or no, or this or that. So just to kind of get to know you a little bit better.
Okay.
So let's fire through these here. And you don't have to give an explanation. You can if you want to, but these are kind of fun. So first question, house or condo?
House.
Okay.
I'd rather own a house. I live in a condo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lift weights or run?
Lift weights. I hate cardio.
I hate cardio too. What's your favorite vacation spot? Either that you've been to or that you'd like to go to?
I always wanted to go to Greece. Never been, but that's on my list. And maybe Japan would be on my list as well. And place I've been, anywhere warm.
Yeah.
Any south destination.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you a beach guy?
Beach guy, big time.
Beach or mountain? So you're beach for sure.
Yeah. I grew up in the Okanagan, and I mountains to me, it's like it's boring.
That's
exactly.
exactly.
Not into cold weather. We skied as a family all the time, and since my adult years, like I can count on one hand the amount of times I've by choice gone to the mountains to go skiing or snowboarding. It's just, not my thing.
Take the sand and ocean. Are you a sports guy?
Love sports.
Who's your favorite sports team?
Favorite sports team, Dallas Stars.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. My cousin played for them when I was a kid. He was drafted by them, won Stanley Cup with them.
Really?
Yeah. So I been a fan of them since I was like 8-9 years old.
So you have some major conflict at Coventry. You're building these Oilers basements.
I know.
You're just like, man.
And I don't wear the jersey. I have worn it. I feel dirty wearing it. But it's not a rivalry because the Stars always win. They always beat them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. This is kind of a spin-off vacation spot, but if you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live? Regardless of money or politics or economics or anything, where would you want to live?
Where would I want to live? Probably I would live somewhere in Texas, or I would probably live in, I don't know, maybe New York.
So the U.S.
Yeah, somewhere in the U.S.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're in Texas, you get to see the stars.
I get to see the stars. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the weather is nice and the food's good. And
it feels like Texas is sort of like the American Alberta, right?
Yeah, I really liked it. I was in Houston a few years back and had a really good time.
And you got ocean as well. And you still got like the openness, the vastness, like the prairie feels. Man, being an American would be insane. Just the access to all the different cool places you can go to. I mean,
right.
Canada's cool, but I mean, if you had like the what do you call it, the dual citizenship, oh man, that'd be killer.
Yeah, and I can get that. My dad's family's American.
Get on that, man.
Yeah, it's just problem with America is, if you could take Americans out of America, it'd be a better place, I think.
Sorry, American viewers.
Yeah.
There's probably nobody watching from US. I think I know the answer to this one. What's your favorite animal?
Dog, wild animal, hyena.
Really?
Yeah, I think they're so cool. Fascinating.
Have you ever seen one?
Yeah.
Where, like in Africa or where?
No, not in Africa. Zoos. Yeah, just at zoos.
They're scary.
Yeah.
If you could have dinner with anyone in the world, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Dinner with anyone dead or alive? Probably be with a comedian. Just someone. I'm trying to think. It'd be like maybe like Anthony Bourdain, or would be if it was a comedian. I'm not sure.
Somebody funny. Jim Carrey.
Someone funny. Yeah, it could be.
Eddie Murphy. Yeah.
What
music are you listening to these days?
Mostly hip hop. I listen to anything from like 80s music, stuff that you probably would turn off, or to all the way to I love I think really liking like Kodak Black's new album. Um,
Hip hop
what
guy.
else?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
My roommate, shout out to Jeff Horn. He lived with him for 4 years in like my mid-20s, and he was the biggest 80s fan music
Oh,
I've
really?
ever heard, man. Like it would just be nonstop 80s before we gear up to go to the bar, the club. And I was like, you can get into it because 80s is like, it's like kind of high energy, sort of like dance and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, I got some
It's like, and it's not like a downer. It's like always upbeat and
always, yeah, always. Everyone's got crazy hair and clothes and stuff. I mean, that would
yeah.
have been a time to live. That's a good question. Well, I'll throw that one in there. What era would it be 80s if you could live in any era?
I would
Any
say maybe,
decade?
but everybody was smoking all the time everywhere. That would be a
A
big
no for
problem
you.
for me.
Okay. BMW or Mercedes?
BMW.
I'm a Mercedes guy.
Yeah.
Last question, kind of a heartfelt question, sort of. Who is your inspiration, or who's been influential in your life growing up and sort of like made you who you are? Like, who would you give props to for what Chris Barnard is?
Yeah, it have to be my parents. They
That's an easy one. That's an easy one.
just for like, I something a lot of people don't know about me. I don't tell everyone, but I was adopted.
Oh,
So yeah, so I look at it like I was given a great opportunity, and in my adult years, I did find out who my biological parents were, or my mother was. I don't know who the father is. But I never met them. I've done research and I found out who they are, and I think I was very fortunate to get the stability and to be given some good values. And my parents, they've always put family and put a lot of emphasis on giving back to community, treating everyone with respect. It didn't matter their background, their beliefs, anything like that. It was everyone just was created equal. And I'd say my parents, and they always encouraged us to try new things. And I think step outside the box, and that's probably why I'm in home sales, and even when I was a kid, trying new foods and things like that, not being afraid of change.
that's amazing, man. That's a great story. I didn't know that about you either. That would have been a good response for what is something most people don't know about you. But
Yeah, most people don't know that.
well, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Barnard. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.